Have you ever dreamed of walking along a narrow path, with soft purple blossoms swaying gently on both sides, where the sweet fragrance lingers in the air like a lullaby from the earth itself? Cherry blossom, let your heart slowly let go of every burden, and come with me on this journey, a journey not with footsteps, but with breath, with imagination, and with the peace that lives deep within your soul. Blank. On a quiet afternoon, I sat alone by a small window. Outside, the city still rushed with its endless rhythm, the sound of cars, the chatter of passers-by, the hurried footsteps of daily life. Yet in that moment, I realized how weary my spirit felt, as if it had carried far too much for far too long. And then, a thought drifted gently across my mind, like a breeze whispering through leaves. Go, seek the calm. Go to where there is no noise, only the scent and colors of nature. So, within my imagination, I began a journey to the English countryside, a land of rolling hills, of timeless little villages, and above all, endless lavender fields, stretching out until they melted into the horizon. I closed my eyes, breathing slowly, and pictured myself standing at the edge of that field. The wind carried with it the fragrance of lavender, sweet and pure, like the tender arms of a mother holding her child close. My steps felt as light as drifting clouds. A small dirt path wound its way through the lavender, a soft ribbon laid across a violet sea. I walked slowly, savoring each sound beneath my feet, inhaling deeply to draw the gentle perfume into my chest. All around me, the lavender bloomed in fullness, reaching up to my knees, swaying in the calm English breeze. Their purple hue was not one of sorrow, but of comfort, a shade that seemed to soothe, to reassure, to soften every edge of thought. The fading light of day fell across them, gilding each flower with a tender glow, as though the field itself shimmered with golden breath. I could hear the hum of bees, tirelessly gathering nectar. Their sound did not disturb me. Instead, it became a rhythm, a soft melody that blended with the quiet around me. From a distance, sparrows called to each other, their tiny voices ringing like silver bells in the open air. Together, these sounds became a lullaby of the countryside, a gentle hymn drifting across the lavender sea. Each step carried me farther from the city, farther from worry and weight. Here, I was no longer a hurried soul. Here, I was simply a traveler in a dream, a quiet guest welcomed by nature, cradled in its embrace. The breeze touched my hair, carrying lavender's fragrance across my senses. I felt as though even my body was becoming infused with its purity, made lighter, clearer, more serene. I remembered what people often say, lavender is the flower of calm. And it was true. Standing in the midst of this endless violet ocean, my heart felt like a still lake. No ripples, no storms, only a surface reflecting peace. Time seemed to slow here. The sun drifted gently across the pale blue sky. I looked upward, watching clouds sail by like tiny boats across the wide heavens. In that moment, I realized I did not need a destination. This path, this breath, this present moment was already enough. I sat down by the grassy edge of the path, between two rows of lavender, and softly closed my eyes. The wind still whispered, the flowers still murmured, the fragrance still wrapped around me like a warm blanket. I listened to the steady rhythm of my own heartbeat, sinking with my deep, slow breath. And I knew then, this journey was not only a journey to the English countryside, it was a journey inward. A return to the quietest part of myself. This was only the beginning. Yet already I felt lighter than I had in so long. As though, if I remained here, if I kept walking through this infinite violet dream, the burdens would dissolve, and I would sleep in the arms of nature itself. As night faded away, the sky of England slowly began to change. From the far horizon, a gentle light pulled back the thin veil of mist. Dawn did not arrive hurriedly, but softly, tenderly, as if nature itself wished to linger in silence before fully waking. I opened my eyes after a short rest among the fields. No longer did darkness cover the land, instead, a fine morning dew clung to the lavender blossoms. Each droplet sparkled like a tiny jewel, glimmering beneath the first rays of the sun. I inhaled deeply, letting the sweet fragrance blend with the fresh air of morning. The eastern sky blushed with shades of rosé, then slowly deepened into pale orange and soft gold. Like a watercolor painting, the lavender fields came alive. Not with brilliance, but with a quiet radiance. The morning light touched each bloom, making them shine gently while keeping their natural softness. I rose to my feet, walking slowly along the narrow path. My shoes pressed against the damp earth, leaving small footprints upon the dew-kissed soil. With every step, it felt as though I was entering another world, one where worries could not follow. And only peace remained. Birdsong drifted through the air from trees in the distance. At first, only a few hesitant notes. Then gradually, a chorus awakened, filling the sky with sound. Their melodies were light and pure, slipping easily into the corners of my heart. A breeze swept past, carrying the scent of lavender mixed with the coolness of morning dew. It was refreshing, soothing each weary thought, calming every nerve, and inviting my body to loosen, to rest. Fatigue and noise seemed to dissolve into the air, leaving behind only serenity within my chest. I thought of the farmers in the English countryside, who each morning tended their fields. They must have walked this same path, caring for each row of lavender so that the fields would bloom in their endless purple splendor. A feeling of gratitude rose within me, gratitude for the hands that nurtured such beauty, so that I could stand here now, breathing it in, living it fully. The morning sun was gentle, not harsh, just warm enough to brush against my cheeks. I tilted my head back, closing my eyes, allowing the light to kiss my skin like a blessing. In that instant, I felt myself dissolve, melting into the sky, the wind, and the fragrance of flowers all around. The lavender stretched endlessly, a purple sea rippling with every passing breeze. I listened to the faintest whispers, as though the blossoms themselves were speaking, sharing secret stories of summer. I smiled, and within me bloomed a quiet joy. This dawn was more than the beginning of a day. It was a kind of miracle, opening a doorway into the purest part of life. Once more I sat down along the small path, gazing at the horizon. In the distance, the golden light spread across the hills, warming the rooftops of the little village nearby. The world was awakening, but without haste. Everything unfolded in rhythm, in calm. A church bell tolled, deep and resonant, carrying across the lavender fields. Its sound filled me with a gentle tremor, reminding me that I was alive. truly present in this very moment. I let myself drift with nature's music, the wind, the birds, the bees, the faraway bell. Each sound was soft, none louder than the other, all weaving together into a symphony of dawn. Sleepiness began to touch me again, not from weariness, but from peace, like the comfort of sitting down after a long journey, knowing you are finally home. My body grew heavier, slower, more at ease than ever before. The dawn here was unlike any other. It did not awaken me into activity, but instead guided me into another dream, a dream where I continued to wander among lavender fields, where I still heard the whispers of wind and the sweetness of flowers. And in that realization, I understood. Perhaps there was no need to divide dream from reality, for both led me to the same place, a place of stillness, of gentleness, of a soft sleep waiting to embrace me. After dawn had spread across the fields, I walked further, unhurried, like a traveler with no schedule. The narrow path carried me deeper into the violet sea, where the wind and the fragrance seemed to become silent companions, kind and ever-present. A breeze brushed against me, threading through my hair like a tender hand. It carried the dampness of earth, the freshness of morning, and above all, the delicate scent of lavender. I paused, closing my eyes, letting the wind slip through the folds of my clothes, letting the fragrance surround me. There was no rush, only rhythm. Each breath of wind was like a story whispered, telling me of the soil, of the flowers, of seasons long gone. Sometimes the wind carried the fragrance richly, filling me as though I embraced the whole field in my arms. At other times, it drifted softly, just a touch that lingered faintly upon my skin. I listened to this ebb and flow, realizing that even within repetition, nature always knew how to change, how to remain endlessly new. In the distance, the blossoms swayed, bowing and rising in harmony with the wind. They did not resist, did not fight, but yielded gracefully, flowing with the unseen current. Watching them, I understood. Perhaps the secret of peace is simply to move with the tide, to receive rather than to resist. I took more steps, listening to the sound of air moving through the flowers. It was not sharp or loud, but a subtle note, like the earth playing its own hidden instrument. Barely there, yet enough to soothe my heart. The fragrance of lavender deepened, fuller and more complete. It no longer touched just my senses, it felt as though it entered my very being, traveling through every breath, flowing through my veins, softening me from within. They say scent can awaken memory. And indeed, among the lavender, a memory stirred. Quiet afternoons of childhood, sitting beneath trees, letting the wind pass by, free from any worry. The memory was vague, but the feeling was vivid. Freedom, ease, safety. Perhaps that is why lavender is called the flower of calm. It summons the gentlest part of us, the part that remembers how to rest. I opened my eyes to the wide sky. Clouds floated slowly, carried by the same wind that touched my skin. The field continued to hum with fragrance. I was only a small speck within its vastness. And yet, in that moment, I felt whole. I smiled to the wind, for teaching me how to release, how to drift without fear. And I smiled to the lavender, for its eternal whisper, rest. Be calm, all will be well. I walked on, not fast, not slow, guided by the music of air and scent. Each step felt as though I moved within an invisible song, its rhythm steady and soothing. The deeper I went, the more I realized I was not alone. Nature was with me, surrounding me, speaking to me, holding me. In its vastness, I felt an intimacy, as though the field, the sky, the wind all understood what my soul needed. And perhaps, this is nature's greatest gift, its silent companionship, its quiet love. The path carried me deeper into the lavender fields, where silence seemed to grow softer, more alive. It was not the silence of emptiness, but the silence that breathes, the kind that holds countless voices hidden within. I slowed my steps, listening, not with my ears alone, but with my whole being. And there, in the stillness, I began to hear them. The faint murmur of the earth, steady and patient, like an ancient heartbeat. The rustle of lavender as the breeze brushed through, each flower leaning close to its neighbor, as though whispering secrets too delicate to speak aloud. The distant call of a skylark, its song carried higher and higher into the pale blue sky. And beneath it all, the soft hum of bees, weaving through blossoms like tiny messengers of life. Each sound was gentle, yet together they formed a harmony, an unseen orchestra guided by nature itself. It was not music written by human hands, but by the pulse of existence, timeless and eternal. I sat upon a small stone by the path, letting the whispers flow around me. They did not demand attention, they simply were. And the more I listened, the quieter my own thoughts became. The burdens I had carried seemed far away now, as though dissolved into the air, scattered like dust by the wind. The lavender swayed in unison, their purple crowns bending gracefully. Watching them, I imagined they were nodding, agreeing with one another, as if to say, all is well, all is safe, all is peaceful here. I closed my eyes and allowed the whispers to enter me fully. For a moment, I was no longer separate from the field. I was part of it. The earth's heartbeat became my heartbeat. The breeze became my breath. The flowers' gentle swaying became the rhythm of my body at rest. In this unity, I felt an ancient truth, that nature has always been speaking, always offering comfort, if only we slowed down enough to hear. The whispers told me stories, not with words, but with feelings. They spoke of rains that had nourished the soil, of suns that had painted the fields with light, of countless dawns and dusks that had passed quietly before my time. They spoke of resilience, of patience, of beauty born not from haste, but from harmony, and in their gentle language, I understood. I too could rest. I too could let go. I too could grow without rushing. The longer I listened, the heavier my eyelids grew. It was not the heaviness of fatigue, but of surrender, the sweet surrender that comes before sleep. My body loosened, my breathing slowed, and I felt myself cradled by something larger, older, infinitely kind. The whispers of nature were not just around me anymore, they were within me. They had become part of my dream, guiding me deeper into rest, deeper into peace. I leaned back against the stone, eyes closed, the world dimming softly, and just before drifting away, I heard the lavender's final lullaby. Sleep, traveler, you are safe here. The earth will hold you. The wind will guard you. The flowers will sing you into dreams. And so, I let go, after my unhurried steps through the lavender fields. The narrow path gently led me toward a lower valley. There, I began to hear a new sound, a fresh whisper, soft and flowing, like an ancient lullaby carried through time. It was a small stream, winding its way between moss-covered stones, the water crystal clear, never ceasing its gentle flow. Amidst the violet ocean of flowers, the stream appeared as a silver ribbon, delicate and bright, reflecting the light of the sky above. I sat down by the bank, dipping my fingers lightly into the cool water. The sensation awakened my senses, not to sharpen them, but to soften, to loosen, to dissolve into peace. The sound of water mingled with the breeze, creating a simple, steady melody, like the heartbeat of the earth itself. I watched as dried lavender blossoms, carried by the wind, fell softly onto the surface of the stream. They did not resist, nor did they hurry. They simply drifted, letting the current carry them wherever it wished, as if they were whispering, "Let life guide you. Do not cling too tightly. Peace lies in release." I exhaled deeply, feeling my own spirit begin to float, drifting along with the water's path. Each thought, each worry seemed to be gathered up and carried away, fading into the distance. The afternoon sun tilted across the sky, pouring its golden light through the green canopy above. Beams of light danced upon the rippling water like countless tiny candles, glowing with gentleness, inviting me to rest. I closed my eyes and listened. The water's murmur was steady, unhurried, like a lullaby without end. It whispered, "Sleep now. Drift now. Let everything become as simple as this stream." My body grew heavy, suspended between waking and dreaming. I imagined myself as one of those blossoms, falling gently, carried effortlessly, safe in the arms of the current. And in that tender moment, I understood, peace does not need to be sought in faraway places. It lives here, in the sound of the stream, in the fragrance of lavender, in the rhythm of my own breath, in the harmony the earth so freely offers. I smiled softly, letting tranquility sink into every corner of me, allowing myself to drift toward a sweet, restful dream, where the stream would keep whispering forever, never stopping, never fading. As the day stretched softly toward evening, the path curved gently away from the stream and carried me deeper into the countryside. The lavender fields began to thin, giving way to patches of wild grass and clusters of tall trees that swayed lazily in the golden light. And then, through the branches, I saw it, a small cottage, hidden as though it wished to remain a secret. Its stone walls were warm with the glow of the setting sun, and ivy climbed gently across its edges. The roof was old but sturdy, with smoke rising faintly from the chimney, curling into the quiet air. I felt no urgency to reach it. Instead, I walked slowly, savoring the scene as if stepping into a storybook. The closer I came, the more I noticed details, a wooden gate creaking softly in the breeze, a narrow garden blooming with roses and daisies, a wooden bench tucked beneath a willow tree. The cottage seemed alive, not in noise or movement, but in its stillness. It radiated warmth, as though it had stood for centuries, quietly watching over the fields, holding countless untold stories within its walls. When I reached the gate, I pushed it open gently. Its sound was not sharp, but low and mellow, blending with the rustle of leaves around me. I stepped into the garden, where the air was filled not only with lavender, but with the sweetness of roses and the faint spice of herbs growing near the windowsill. I imagined the cottage as a sanctuary for weary travelers, a place where one could sit by the fire and let burdens dissolve. Perhaps inside, a soft chair waited by the hearth, a teapot rested upon a wooden table, and shelves held books worn smooth by many hands. But I did not need to enter. The outside itself was enough. I sat upon the bench beneath the willow, watching as the branches swayed like gentle arms, shielding me from the fading sun. The cottage stood quietly before me, its windows reflecting the amber light of dusk. A sense of safety washed over me, as though the cottage had opened its invisible arms and welcomed me home. The silence here was not empty, it was protective, embracing, timeless. I leaned back, letting the cool air brush across my skin. The birds were quieter now, preparing for night, while the hum of insects rose softly, adding their own verse to the evening's lullaby. The world felt suspended, caught between day and night, reality and dream. I breathed slowly, my body loosening more with each passing moment. The cottage, the garden, the willow, the lavender beyond, they all seemed to murmur the same message: rest here. You are safe, you are home. And in that whisper, I felt myself drifting once more, into stillness, into calm, into the gentle embrace of sleep waiting patiently just beyond the horizon of thought. The day slowly folded itself into evening, and the sky above the cottage began to change. The golden light of sunset softened into shades of rosé, then melted into lavender and pale blue, as if the heavens themselves wished to echo the colors of the fields below. I walked a little farther beyond the garden, to where the land opened wide once more. From there, I could see the horizon stretch endlessly, the last rays of sunlight spilling across the rolling hills. The world seemed wrapped in a gentle hush, as though all of nature were pausing to witness this quiet transformation. The first stars appeared, small, delicate points of light scattered upon the fading canvas of the sky. They blinked softly, shy at first, then slowly multiplied, filling the heavens with their steady glow. I lay down upon the grass, feeling the cool earth beneath me, and gazed upward. The air was still, save for the faint rustle of leaves and the distant chirping of crickets. The evening had its own symphony, subtle, hushed, yet infinitely soothing. Above me, the sky deepened into velvet, carrying with it a sense of timelessness. I felt as though I could fall into it, drift beyond the stars, and float among them without weight or worry. The fragrance of lavender still lingered, softer now, mingling with the coolness of night. Each breath felt slower, deeper, as if the universe itself was guiding me into rest. I thought of how many evenings like this had passed before me, how many travelers, farmers, and dreamers had once looked upon this same sky, carrying their hopes, their weariness, their longing for peace, and in that thought, I felt connected, not only to the land, but to every soul who had ever paused beneath these stars. The evening sky did not hurry me. It asked nothing of me. It simply opened itself wide, vast and eternal, inviting me to let go. As the constellations began to shine more clearly, I felt a quiet promise written among them: you are part of this endlessness. You are not small, nor forgotten. You belong. My eyelids grew heavy as I watched the stars shimmer. The sky seemed to lean closer, wrapping me in its dark, silken embrace. And slowly, without resistance, I let my thoughts fade, becoming nothing more than another speck of light drifting quietly into the night. As the evening deepened, I slowly made my way back toward the little cottage. Its windows now glowed softly, as if each pane held a candle of welcome. The sight alone warmed me, guiding me gently as twilight embraced the land. Pushing the gate open once more, I stepped quietly into the garden. The fragrance of roses was heavier in the cool night air, mingling with the ever-present sweetness of lavender. I walked to the door, which stood slightly ajar, and with a gentle touch, I entered. Inside, the cottage was simple, but full of warmth. Wooden beams stretched across the ceiling, and shelves lined with worn books leaned slightly with age. In the corner, a small fire flickered, its glow painting the walls with golden light. The soft crackle of the logs was soothing, like the heartbeat of the room itself. I sat down in a chair near the hearth. Its cushions embraced me, and I felt the weight of the day slowly melt away. The firelight danced across my hands, across my face, wrapping me in its tender warmth. On the table beside me rested a teapot, steam curling lazily into the air. I poured a cup, the aroma of herbs rising gently, blending with the fragrance of wood smoke and flowers that had followed me inside. Each sip was soft, almost like a sigh, flowing through me with quiet comfort. The fire hummed and whispered, its rhythm steady, timeless. I watched the flames shift and sway, their shapes never still, yet never hurried. They seemed to tell stories, of forests and winds, of warmth shared among travelers long ago. My eyes grew heavy as the warmth seeped deeper into me. The room itself felt alive, as though it was holding me, guarding me. The walls did not close me in, they sheltered me. The fire did not simply burn, it spoke, and in its voice I heard, "Rest, wanderer, you are safe, the night will cradle you, and dreams will guide you." I leaned back, the crackle of the fire becoming softer, gentler, until it blended with the rhythm of my own breath. Somewhere between wakefulness and sleep, I imagined the fire was a guardian spirit, watching over the night. Its golden light became a pathway, leading me into a dream where lavender fields glowed beneath the stars. And the wind carried me effortlessly toward peace. The cup slipped quietly from my hand, resting safely upon the table. My eyes closed fully now. The warmth of the fire and the softness of the night folded around me like a blanket. And in that embrace, I surrendered to sleep, deep, unbroken, tender, carried into dreams by the firelight's eternal song. The fire burned low, its glow fading into embers, and the cottage grew quieter still. Outside, the night had taken full hold, draping the land in a deep, velvety darkness. Yet this darkness was not heavy, it was soft, protective, like a great cloak laid gently across the earth. Through the small window, I could see the stars scattered endlessly above. Their light was steady and patient, as though they had been waiting for me to notice them. The moon hung low, casting a silver glow across the fields, where the lavender swayed slowly even in the hush of night. I stepped outside once more, drawn by the serenity of the air. The garden was hushed, save for the quiet song of crickets and the occasional rustle of leaves. The world felt as if it had slowed to the rhythm of a lullaby, steady, unbroken, eternal. I walked a little way from the cottage, standing at the edge of the lavender fields. The night breeze touched my face, cool and tender, carrying with it the fragrance of the blossoms. It was softer now, like a memory rather than a presence, as if the flowers themselves were whispering good night. I looked up at the vast sky, filled with light yet wrapped in silence. In that stillness, I felt myself expand, my worries dissolving, my thoughts fading, until I was no more than a quiet soul resting in the arms of the universe. The night embraced me fully. The stars seemed to hum, they glow a song beyond sound. The moon guided the shadows across the fields, turning them into silver waves that rose and fell with the breeze. Everything moved gently, without urgency, without effort, and in the heart of that silence, I felt something deep and timeless, a love that belonged not to one person, but to the earth itself, a love that asked nothing, demanded nothing, but gave endlessly, the comfort of the night, the fragrance of the flowers, the calm of the air, the promise of rest. I sat upon the grass, the coolness beneath me grounding, steadying. I let the night seep into me, until I could no longer tell where I ended and the world began. The lavender whispered, "Sleep deeper, wanderer, sleep without fear. The night will hold you, the stars will keep you, and the dawn will find you renewed." And so, beneath the vast, eternal sky, I closed my eyes. The night cradled me, and with every breath, I drifted farther into peace, until at last I became part of the dream itself. The night deepened, wrapping the cottage, the fields, and the valley in its quiet embrace. All around me, the world seemed to breathe in harmony, slow, steady, and endlessly calm. The lavender swayed gently in the darkness, their fragrance drifting softly, as if even the flowers were beginning to dream. I lay back upon the earth, the cool grass beneath me and the vast sky above. The stars shimmered like lanterns, countless and unhurried. They glowed timeless and steady. The moon traced its silver path across the heavens, a guardian watching tenderly over the sleeping land. My breath slowed, matching the rhythm of the night. Each inhale carried the sweetness of lavender. Each exhale released the last fragments of worry. There was nothing left to hold, nothing left to chase, only rest, only peace. The sounds of the world grew distant. The crickets sang faintly, the breeze whispered softly, the stream murmured far away. Each sound folded gently into silence, like pages closing in a book, until all that remained was stillness. And in that stillness, I felt the truth. I had arrived, not at a place, but at a state of being, a state where the mind is quiet, the heart is light, and the soul is free. The lavender fields, the hidden cottage, the whispering stream, the evening sky, all were within me now, woven into my spirit like threads of a gentle tapestry. They would remain, even when the dream faded, as a sanctuary I could return to whenever I closed my eyes. The earth seemed to whisper one final blessing. Sleep deeply, wanderer, sleep without fear. You are safe, you are loved, you are home. And with that, I surrendered completely. My thoughts dissolved into the night. My body melted into the ground. And my soul drifted into a dream that had no end. An eternal dream, where lavender blooms forever, where the wind sings softly, and where peace holds me, endlessly and tenderly.